Hey everyone, I'm Max. Welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to build an accordion in Webflow, and we're going to focus on three things. So first, I want to have that accordion like open and close on each click. So basically when you click on one card, another card closes. I want to have the first card open on page load. So once it goes into view, like you can already see that first question or the first content, whatever is in there. And last, I have some pictures on the right side, and I want to have those pictures kind of resizing whenever the screen size or the browser width changes. And what I mean with this, I'm going to show you right now. So on page load, we're going to see that first card. We click on another card, and we have those pictures changing accordingly. And we also have some custom colors here. So that's what we're going to build out. And I would say, let's jump right into Webflow and let's go. As always, we start out on an empty canvas. I prepared a section, an inner section wrapper, and a container. They just hold the content. And here we start adding a grid within a div. Set this to grid, one row, two columns. Within this div block, I'm gonna add my collection list. I sync it up with a CMS collection I already prepared, which I called Accordion. And from here on, I'm gonna name those div blocks. So I wanna use this maybe collection grid. And I'm gonna name this as it is. This is my collection list wrapper. My collection list, collection list. Gonna jump one down, and my collection item. With my items, I'm gonna add a few divs that basically hold the content later on, which is like 1, 2, 3 divs. Let's open this up real quick. So the first one is gonna be my collection item wrapper. The second one is gonna be my collection item header. And the third one is gonna be my content. So it's collection item, let's call this content. Just gonna move this out of here. Let's go like this. So why I'm having another wrapper in here, so later we're gonna set the grid here on the left to relative, because the images we place inside our collection will be set to absolute. And I also have like other items set to absolute. I will explain all of this in more detail later on. Let's start adding some content here. So first we start with a header, we link it up with our name, then we can also add that content here. Here we're gonna add some text. I'm gonna add a text block, also link it up with a description. So we already see what's going on here. Within our item header, I also want to add an opening and closing symbol. And how I'm gonna do this? I'm just gonna style a few divs that later is gonna be animated. And one more. Good. So I'm gonna go like this. And here, this is my icon. So let's go maybe collection item icon wrapper. It's a long name. It's a very long name. That's okay. And I'm just gonna call this icon minus, and I give the other one just the same name, is the icon minus. So this is gonna get a width of 20 pixels and a height of 2. I'm gonna give it some border radius of 2 pixels and a background color, which is just gonna be same black. Or let me pick this color from over here to have it the same. Great. So here I give it a combo class, which is animated, so I can turn it, and I want to transform, rotate 90 degrees. Great. It's not yet centered, but we're gonna fix this. It's quite easy because our height is 2 pixels, so we have to apply a margin of 2 pixels, actually minus 2 pixels, and now it is perfectly centered. What we're going to do here, we're going to set all of this to flexbox, make this horizontal and give it some space between, center it. Great. I'm also going to start removing here this, what is like the default margin on every header. So this is called my collection item. This is, it's already called header. I should have called the other one. It's like head. I quickly gonna change this because I wanted this to be the header wrapper. I did like a little mistake here. I'm sorry for that, guys. Just for correctness, I'm gonna remove this. Great. So next, let's move on to the text block, which is collection item text. Here, I'm gonna add some margin on the top. It's very important to add the margin on the top here because later we're gonna resize it, and if we add the margin to the content container, it will not disappear. So this is very important. What we're going to use here, we're going to use one rem, give it some breathing room, and next I want to add a button, but I'm going to use a link block because I'm going to style this up in a link block. I have a text block and I have an image. So here the text block is basically what I'm going to do. So the text block is gonna be named tell me more, right? And the image is gonna be like one icon, an arrow right. We're gonna give this a height. I wanna have this a height maybe of 14 pixels. I want to remove that text decoration here. The text decoration in a link block, you remove it on the link block itself, not on the text inside. And then we can also add here the coloring. That was a little bit too much. But I think here, in that case, yes, it worked. We're also going to set this to flexbox, center it, give some breathing room next to the text, which in this case is going to be 0.5 rem. And maybe I also want to have that text being bold. And of course, give it some spacing to the top, which in this case also I go for 1 rem. Right, so let's style this entire icon wrapper to just see better actually what's going on here. I'm gonna pick a color from over here. So let's get my background color going. Yes, give it some border radius, which is gonna be 1 rem as well, and a little bit margin on the top. I think 0.5 rem is just fine. And maybe also an inside padding, so the content is not so much stuck to the edges. That looks much better. Actually, I did something wrong here. I wanted to use white, because I want this entire grid here to get this nice dark bluish color I just had, and it's not showing up because I put it on typography. Yeah, this is better. And here we're also gonna have one rem on all sides. Maybe give it 2. Let's do 2. 2 looks better. Okay, I think we are ready to start our interactions, start opening and closing our accordion, right? I'm gonna prepare one more thing because we have 2 click events. One is for opening and the other one is for closing. So for the opening to work properly, I want to have like a second click event, which is going to be on a div, and you will see how this is working in a minute. So I'm going to add another div block. I just put it right underneath that wrapper and I call it collection item, and this is the second click interaction. This is going to be set to position absolute, and I position it on the full frame. And therefore, I need to set this wrapper to relative, so it's going to be placed right inside here. How are we going to start? We're going to start with our first interaction on the collection item itself, go over here to interaction, add our first mouse click, select animation, start animation, and go. And we call this accordion open. And before we do anything, we're gonna actually select our content right here and then click on this little plus icon. So first, we're gonna have a hide and show. We're gonna set this to our initial state and hide it. Secondly, we have our size, same initial state, and height is 0. And our third interaction here is going to be our opacity initial state, opacity set to 0. And then next we're gonna first, very important here, start showing this content again. If you set this on a later stage, you will get some very funky behavior, and we don't want that, right? So let's start showing this again. We here go for height of auto, so the container can resize perfectly according to that inner content, and we also want to get that opacity back to 100. We're gonna select both of them, duration of 0.4, and we get some easing in here. Let's see what's going on. Let's click this. It works fine. The only thing, we can't close it yet. That's what we're gonna do next. Let's hit save here. And now we set our second interaction on the second click item. So here we have another trigger, mouse, start animation, and we call this accordion out. But actually, I want to do something else. And this is, we're gonna delete this real quick, because we can actually just duplicate this, use this one, open it. We're gonna remove all the top here. So we're gonna start by removing this. I think we can even remove this. Let's see. I think we need it, but okay. We just go here, back to 0, and the same for opacity, go back to 0. Let's see what is happening if we do this. It is not working yet. And this is because we have to set on the class here to all elements with this class. Let's preview this and see what's happening. So this is pretty much as we wanted it. I think let's try something. I just wanna see how this can we sort this? How does it look if we set this to hide and show? What is the behavior here? Yeah, I guess we don't like that. So let's remove this again. And this is kind of how we wanted it to look. So the first part of the accordion is done, was really quick. Next up, we're gonna add some images. We're gonna add the images right above, like right below that collection item here. So image 1, image 2. Let's move it up here. And the first, let's actually hit save here, right? So image number 1 is our collection item image top, and the second one is our collection item image bottom. Just did a little mistake here. Okay, our two images are ready. We give this a width of 40% and a height of 40%, and we're gonna do the same on the bottom image. So this is also gonna be 40%, 40%. We want to give this a little bit of a border radius, so we have one REM and the other one as well, one REM. We have an REM here. Let's add some images so we actually see what's going on here. So image number 1 is gonna be our image top, and image number 2 is gonna be our image bottom. Great. So now here comes into play why we want to have another wrapper here and not put all of this in our collection item. Let's say if we set our collection item now to relative, we would have our pictures technically sitting inside of here, which is for some reason not happening right now. Let's position them. Oh yeah, they're still static, so of course this is not happening. So we are setting this to absolute, so now they are basically trapped in here, and we don't want that, right? So we're gonna remove this, set this back to static, go on our collection grid, set this to relative. See, all our pictures are behind, but we just position them on the top one in the top right corner and the bottom one in the bottom right corner. Let's move this up a little bit like this and move this down also just a notch, and we want to have them just kind of separated, maybe up. What did I do? Oh, I changed this. Don't want to do this. So here, just maybe, no, let's get this in a little bit more, and let's get this in also a little bit, so it's not super close to the edges. Did I actually, one last thing, just giving this corner radius. So our pictures are basically ready. I just want to position them a little bit different. So I give this a set C index of 2, this a C index of 1. Just add some tiny little bit more styling. We want to reduce this to 10%, and the same for this picture. Image. Why do I keep saying pictures? They're images. box shadows. No. Am I right? Yeah. No. I'm getting confused right now. What is happening? Yeah, it actually is box shadow. I'm just need to. What am I doing? I just keep it like this for now. Cool. So let's see what's happening. Are those pictures changing? No, because they are all on top of each other. So therefore we have to add another animation. And we're gonna do this as well on the collection item right here on the top. Go on our existing animation. We select our first image. We start with an opacity as initial state of 0, and down here we increase the opacity back to 100. We're going to do the same for the second image, starting with 0 and going here back to 100. Let's preview this. So now this looks much better, except that our pictures are completely blurry. But therefore, we like what is happening here. Opacity, selected element. What did I do? I think it should be on the class selected element. Like, okay, let's remove this. Image top. Image top. I was going too fast. So this is 0, and down here I want to have that same with 100. Did I select the right ones? I did. Okay, great. Let's save this. Go back, fix our images, because we don't want to have it fill. We want to have this in cover, I think. Was it cover? I think it was cover. We're gonna change our position because we want to have this more in our field. We see this is a little bit squeezed. So this looks good. Next thing up. As we see, we start this page and like this, I think it looks really awful. Like as a user, you would think like something is wrong here. What's going on? Like why is there no initial state? Why is there no initial image showing up? But this is a really easy fix. It's probably a little bit hacky, but I looked into different fixes and I found this technically to be the easiest and fastest. So what we're going to do, we add some custom code on the left here. And what does this do? It's basically whenever the page loads, it is going to our accordion item, which we have to probably call collection item. And then it is listening to a click and selects the first element and clicks on it. So there are probably other ways to do this, to really manipulate the JavaScript file of the interaction itself. So that kind of doing this in the background, but it seemed very complicated. So I thought this might be the easiest fix to go for it. Let's save this, and as always in Webflow, we can't see our changes before we publish our page. Therefore, let's publish it, preview it, and see what's happening. Great. That's exactly what we wanted. The page loads, and we show our first card and also all the images. So one last thing I really want to do real quick before we wrap it up is to make sure those pictures are not overlapping once I go over here. I also used some custom code to resize those images according to the screen width or browser width. And how did I do this? So back into our custom code on the right here, and we add another script. I will explain how this is working as well. So basically we start a function which is called resize image based on viewport, which is nothing else than taking the two images with the ID of responsive image 1 and responsive image 2, grabs that viewport from the browser itself, and I adjusted kind of, you could call it breakpoints, which range from everything above 1200 pixels to 1100, and therefore reducing the image size somewhere starting at 40 to 37 to 30 and so forth. Down here, I also added an event listener, which is listening to each resizing event of the window and then calls the function. So let's save this. We have to do two more things. We have to give those images an ID. We can do this here on a little settings wheel. So this is our responsive image number 1, and this is our responsive image number 2. We have to publish it again, go through this short process. Let's wait for a moment. Let's see what's happening, resize our window and hope it's working. So it is moving here, and you see the image is getting smaller and smaller, and one more, smaller, and then it's moving over here. But that's as soon as we hit our mobile devices. For this setup, what I like to do is actually go to our images and set those to display hidden, and go to our collection item. This is a little bit large, so I have kind of a problem. I need to go to our grid, edit our grid, and remove the second column to get this all full width. So now when we republish it one more time, we are almost done, guys. It is looking good. I really hope you stick with me that far. Thank you for that. We did it. We did it. So here, and then it is resizing. Wow. That was another very long tutorial. It took quite a while. I tried to go through it as fast as possible. I really hope you could have some takeaways from this and really good learnings. If you enjoyed the video, I would really appreciate giving me some thumbs up. I hope to see you all next week for another tutorial. Until then, I hope you have a good time. See you. Ciao.